Life is precious, and we all have the opportunity of living it to the fullest. Unfortunately, so few of us know how to manage it all. How do we account for our opportunities? How do we account for our time? How do we account for our relationships, health, spirituality, homes, finances, influence, and careers? How do we account for the one life we have to live? I am so glad you asked. In this program, you will find answers to all of these questions and more. Welcome to the Account for Your Life podcast with your host, the healthy accountant himself, Jay Moore.
What's happening, everybody? What's happening today on the Account for Life podcast? Here's what we're talking about. It's hard to learn because of how we think. And today we're going to look at thinking. We're going to look at kind of like the process of learning and doing and kind of where we get hung up. Man, this is a conversation I recently had with my kids. And so, man, I'm super excited about this. And so, look, check this out. I was talking to my kids, talking to my sons, 2 nights ago when we were hanging out. It was just me, Jared, and Jacob. We went out to dinner and we're having a conversation. I asked them a question. You ever ask your kids questions, that would make them think? And that's what I did. I said, hey, Jared, Jacob, I got a question for you. Just because you know something, do you know how to do it? Or when you finish your school, when you finish a class, do you know how to do something? And they said, yeah. At least they thought they did. I said, okay, well, what did you learn how to do? And they kind of got stumped there. It was like, interesting. I guess I kind of know it. I guess they thought that when you go to school and when you take a class, you actually know how to do something. I said, well, what do you know how to do? I said, you got a grade, you got finished, but what did you actually do? And they were stumped. They was like, because I said, show me, go to a class and show it to me. Show me what you know how to do now. And that was just something that we sat there and I says, look, when you take a class, you take the class, and just because you finish the class, it doesn't mean you actually learned how to do something. You know about the topic now. You know about the topic. And, I was talking to Jacob. I says, Jacob, think about this. If I talk to you about making something, cooking something, because, hey, you want to go into being a chef. If I talk to you about cooking something, do you know how to do it? No, you just know how to, you may be able to regurgitate what I said, but until you go and cook it and get the result, then you don't know how to do it, or you can't really say for sure. And he was like, And I said the same thing to Jared. I says, Jared, you're in school to be, in media and video and like all that stuff, whatever it is, right? I said, but here's the thing. Just because you took a class doesn't put you in a position of actually really knowing how to do something. One of my mentors, Myron Golden, look, great guy to follow if you're not following him. He says that you don't get to learn anything until you do it. You won't learn anything until you've done it. The purpose of learning in his Make More Offers Challenge is mastery. How many of us have gone into a class, gone into something that we wanted to learn about or know about with the purpose saying, I will master this thing. Most of us didn't. When I went to school to be an accountant, I didn't go to school saying, I'm going to master everything there is about accounting. No, I figured, at some point maybe I would be able to master something. But here's the thing. Do you know how many elements, how many tax laws and how many principles and how many different things are wrapped up into accounting, financial accounting? That's just one area. Then you have Account for Your Life, which is a whole nother type of accounting. And I says, man, you actually have to pick. Now, here's the problem. Here's the problem when it comes to learning. The problem that I've had, and I don't know about you, the problem that I have when it's come to learning is this: thinking. what I think about. So in Proverbs 23:7, here's what it says: As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And I want you to think about learning something. I want you to think about doing something. I want you to think about knowing something. Something water real quick. And what happens is the thinking that we already have could be the danger, could be the problem, could be the block that keeps us from learning. See, because learning, it's like this. All right. If I didn't start doing videos where, like in the beginning, I really had to script out everything. And there's a time to script, like really script. But in the beginning, I had to really script. I had to go from, okay, here's the title, here's all the points I'm going to make, and here's where I'm going to end. I had to do that. Why? Because I just knew. I said, well, I kind of know how to do it, but I don't know how to do it. So I have to figure out a way to do it. And then once I start doing it over and over and over and over and over, to the point where now I can come up with a topic. I could get a foundation of what the topic is. And because I've done it so many, just this year, I've done this 235 times this year. I think I only missed 3 days this year because I was down for the count a few days, but 235 days. I've done this podcast 509 times. That doesn't include when it wasn't named the Account Feel Like Podcast. At one point, it was called the Enlightenment Series. The Enlightenment Series probably has about 800, maybe 1,000 episodes. And before that, there was the just random, health videos that I was doing. That I remember, I remember doing 100 days straight on that. I remember doing 90 days of videos. So there's probably, just if I go back to, the health videos, probably about 200, probably 300 if I went and searched them all out, at least 300 to maybe 400 of health videos. So you think, just say 300 health videos, just say 1,000 enlightenment videos, and then a 500, we're over 2,000 videos here. Over 2,000 videos, over 2,000 times being in front of the microphone. I wasn't always in front of the camera because the Enlightenment Series didn't start out in front of the camera, but I was finding something. Like, see, if you want to master anything, if you want to know how to do anything, if you're going to learn something, like I had to learn how to use my mouth. And if you follow Myron Golden teaches the 4 levels of value. And in the 4 levels of value, the 3rd level, he says, look, if you're going to operate with value, you got to be able to use your mouth. And so your mouth is one of the best ways that you can use to monetize what it is you're going to do in life. Because your mouth is the thing. Like, this is what God gave us to communicate, to be able to say things and use the power of word. Now, that's not the highest level either, but the way that we can communicate is everything. So here's the thing. If you're going to learn something, then we got to think better. You got to think better. It comes down to thinking better, because in the scripture, when it says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so he or she is, then that means that we may have what they call stinking thinking. Have you ever like looked or thought about words that you said to yourself, or words that you've used over just this year or last year or whenever? Have you ever considered the words that have come out of your mouth, or the words that you thought about? I remember times when I used to use words that I used to say dumb stuff to myself, or I used to paint a picture of myself that was not true. I think it was last week. We talked about lies, and I was talking to Jared and Jake about, don't tell yourself lies. Because when we went out to dinner, the goal of the dinner was to just kind of like introduce them to some things in their life that they're gonna have to deal with. And it was money, sex, and lies. And the lies part, I says, look, it's not, you already know not to lie. Like that, you know that you shouldn't lie. So I said, don't do it. I said, but the biggest lies that we tell ourselves are the biggest lies that we tell are the lies that we tell ourselves. Write it down. The biggest lies we tell are the lies we tell ourselves. Man, I've lied and told myself so many things that weren't true. It could have been that I'm better. Hey, I'm better than what I am. See, sometimes you gotta just, man, I looked in the mirror this weekend because I saw some things in myself that was just not where I would like them to be. And I looked at myself and I says, wow, I've been lying to myself. I've been lying. So that means that there's something I didn't learn, because at the end of the day, we tell a lie because there's something we don't know. That's the first step. If you don't know something, then you can't do anything. But then there's times when you know something and then you blatantly tell yourself the lie so you don't have to do it. And then you can actually look at yourself and say, well, I'm good to go. But then in the back of your mind, when you really have to take an account, and that's the thing. Look, one of the things that, as believers, right? If you believe in God, if you believe in the second coming, then you should believe in accounting. Because here's the thing, there's an accounting taking place right now. And that accounting is that, hey, it's not that God is not forgiving. No, not at all. God is totally forgiving, but still there's an accounting, even for the ones even for people that's doing well. There's an accounting, because at the end of the day, we still may not live up to who God created us to be. And that has to be accounted for. So if we were just looking at our life and saying, man, like, how can I experience the life? Well, we got to clean up our thinking. As a man or woman thinketh in their heart, so is he or she. So that means that what's deep, I'm talking deep down inside, what is deep down inside is what is going to be manifested in yours and my life. Deep down, that's what manifests. Deep down, that's what comes out. Deep down, that's what the truth is. And I'm going to tell you, if we don't look in the mirror and say to ourselves, ooh, I can see that I'm walking around naked. And I recently heard somebody say, it's like when, like when hard times come, you find out, you figure out, you actually get to see who's been walking around naked. And I said, man, I don't want to be walking around naked. I don't want hard times to come. And then next thing you know, I'm on hard times. Look, because I'm a kingdom entrepreneur, a kingdom citizen, someone who does everything kingdom, then that means that just because when hard times come, that means the kingdom gets to shine. The kingdom gets to say, look, this is what we really know. And because now you can see the abundance totally, you're like, whoa, everybody else is going through hard times, but that small number of people, they're not. That means that we have to clean up our thinking. We have to not look at how hard something is, but realize that, oh, you know what? It's not that it's so hard. It's that I've allowed myself to think things that aren't true, or allowed myself to believe things about myself that are totally untrue. And then I got to place myself in a situation where it's like, okay, all right, now here's where I'm going. I'm going to actually learn. I want to actually learn to do the thing. And when you learn to do the thing, that just means that you have to do something over and over and over. As we close today, just think about a professional athlete. I was watching Steph Curry last week. If you don't know who he is, he's one of the best basketball players on the planet right now. And I was watching him practice. If Steph Curry came to the NBA and just talked about shooting, you would just hear him talking. But he shoots the ball all the time. And I watched him shoot about 100 shots and not miss one. I'm not talking about layups. I'm talking about shots from far away. He didn't miss one, and that was practice. So when you see Steph Curry in the game and he drops 30 or 40 or 50, maybe 60 points, it's not because he got hot in the game. It's because he practiced it. He learned it. And if he had doubts, he cleared up the doubts with practice by doing it over and over and over again. See, guys, if we're going to learn something, then that means we got to do something. And by doing it, then you have to master it. And when you master it, then and then only, you can say, man, I learned how to do the thing. So look, guys, I appreciate you for joining me for this episode of the Account for Life podcast. I'm Jay Moore, your healthy accountant, helping you to account for your life. God bless, and I'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks for joining us, listening friends. We are so glad you invested this time with us. Always remember, you only have one life to live, so live it to the fullest. This has been the Account for Your Life podcast with your host, the healthy accountant himself, Jay Moore. Until next time, make it a great day.